Hello everyone, I'm David, 45, and I'm in serious need of advice regarding a situation that's threatening to ruin my marriage. My wife Emily, who's 42, and I tied the knot right after college when we were both 25. At the time, her family was already quite well off. While they weren't at the level of oligarchs, they were definitely far above the middle class. I, on the other hand, came from an ordinary family without any significant resources. As a fresh graduate, I was completely broke. Despite our financial differences, I was deeply in love with Emily and wanted to build a life together. However, her parents weren't as thrilled about our relationship. They viewed me as either unambitious or a con artist who was only interested in their daughter's wealth. To ease their concerns, they insisted on a prenuptial agreement. Although I wasn't happy about their push for it, I loved Emily enough to agree to everything just so we could be together. While their approach stung and made it clear they saw me as unworthy of their daughter, I signed the agreement to get them off my back. What most people didn't know, though, was that I had excellent grades and graduated at the top of my class with a specialization in finance. My first job was at a bank where I began trading currencies. Within just a year of working as a currency trader, I made my first $1 million at the age of 26. My passion and determination only grew stronger from there. I kept most of my progress quiet, so few people realized how well I was doing. Emily knew, of course, but even our families didn't fully grasp the extent of my success until I had been at the bank for about 5 years. By then, I was 30 years old. At that point, I decided to leave my job and start trading currencies independently. It's been 15 years now, and my career has gone so well that my personal fortune far exceeds the combined wealth of Emily's family. When her parents finally realized that I had become wealthier than they ever imagined, their attitude shifted dramatically. They went from seeing me as a liability to viewing me as a potential financial gold mine. And that's where the real problems began. Now, they're pushing me to dissolve the prenuptial agreement. The same agreement they once demanded to protect Emily's inheritance and their family's interests has suddenly become something they want to eliminate. On top of that, they've been saying things like I should pay them back for my success because I've been lucky. It feels as though they believe I no longer need the agreement to protect my assets and that I should show gratitude by financing their lifestyle. They've even started pressuring Emily to cover their expenses, fund their vacations, and buy them new cars. Essentially, they want me to bankroll their lavish way of life. I've made it very clear that I won't do this. I've told them outright that I refuse to be treated as their personal ATM. This hypocrisy is infuriating. They used to look down on me and tried to convince Emily to leave me. Now that I've become successful, they expect me to fund their lives. My refusal has only escalated the conflict. This situation has put immense strain on my relationship with Emily. We love each other, but the constant arguments and pressure from her parents are causing serious tension between us. Some days it feels like we fight more than ever. Emily says she understands my feelings but also insists that we should tear up the prenuptial agreement. She believes that now we're financially equal, or that I'm even better off, and that the agreement no longer serves its original purpose. I'm not convinced. In fact, I feel like I have more to lose than she does. It's also become a matter of principle for me. I signed that agreement out of love, even though it would have put me at a disadvantage in a divorce. Why should I give it up now just because it no longer benefits her family? My own family has also heard about the situation and is outraged at how her parents are treating me. They're furious that my in-laws are trying to manipulate me. In fact, her parents even tried to bribe my siblings, telling them, "Convince David to dissolve the agreement, and you'll be rewarded." It's ridiculous. My siblings are livid and believe I should stand firm. My parents have even suggested I consider divorce. They say things like, "You deserve better than to be treated as a cash cow by people who once disrespected you. How can you stay married to someone who doesn't fully support you in this?" At the same time, my in-laws are furious with me for refusing to comply. They've even been pressuring Emily to consider divorce, thinking she could claim part of my assets despite the prenuptial agreement. They accuse me of being cold and selfish, saying things like, "David only cares about money. He's not loyal to the family." I've confronted Emily about all of this, asking her directly if she loves me for who I am or if it's just about the money. Her parents' schemes have made me doubt everything. Emily got upset at my question, insisting that she wants to stay together and doesn't understand why I'd question her intentions. She claims she only wants to dissolve the agreement because it's outdated, not because of her parents' pressure. Still, I told her that her reasoning isn't convincing. The agreement worked fine when she had more money than me, but now that the roles are reversed, it's suddenly a problem. She said she just wants us to be equals and pointed out that we're not the same people we were when we first got married. We always end up going in circles. Eventually, I hired a private investigator to see if Emily was secretly plotting something with her parents. I needed clarity. The investigator found nothing. No secret meetings, no financial schemes, no infidelity. Emily isn't doing anything suspicious. While I'm relieved, I also feel guilty for going that far. At the same time, her behavior lately has been strange. She seems anxious, avoids serious conversations, and refuses to engage in meaningful discussions. Her parents continue to be aggressive, and it's wearing us down. Some nights, we share the same bed but barely exchange a word. On other nights, she seems like her old self, warm and supportive. Yet, the moment the prenuptial agreement comes up, a wall goes up between us. I'm fully aware that a divorce would be a complicated ordeal. Emily wouldn't leave empty-handed, but the agreement still safeguards me. What I can't figure out is whether she's staying with me because she wouldn't get full access to my assets after a divorce, or if her love for me is still genuine and she truly wants us to keep building a future together. I'm not a naturally suspicious person, but the way her family treats me has made it almost impossible not to question their motives. My family has been telling me I should rip the Band-Aid off and make a decision. They argue that I can't live in a constant state of distrust and anxiety. They've also brought up a valid point. If the manipulation and pressure from her parents continue, it's only a matter of time before something breaks, and it might not end in my favor when it does. I feel completely torn. I don't want to lose Emily, but I also don't want to live in fear of being used or manipulated. Everything feels uncertain. If I cave and dissolve the agreement, will that restore honesty and trust in our relationship? Or will it just encourage her parents to make even more financial demands? On the other hand, if I refuse, will that create an unbridgeable gap between us? I'm here seeking your advice. Have any of you been through something similar? How did you navigate it? I still love my wife, but it feels like she's letting her parents take control of our lives. My own family is pressuring me to file for divorce, and I feel more lost than ever. I want to believe that Emily is on my side, but maybe I'm just clinging to that belief to avoid admitting that our 20-year marriage might be in jeopardy. Any feedback, advice, criticism, or suggestions is welcome. How would you handle this if you were in my shoes? How do you set clear boundaries without either destroying your marriage or compromising your values? Thank you in advance. I hope to find some clarity amidst this chaos. Please be honest with your thoughts, as I really need them. Update 1. Thank you for all the advice I've received so far. I've decided to take a step back and really think about what's most important to me. I've scheduled an appointment with a therapist, both for myself and possibly for Emily and me together. It feels like a necessary step, but I can't help feeling nervous. Will Emily see this as a weakness, or as an opportunity for us to truly work on our issues? Over the next week, I made an effort to stay present and push through my inner turmoil. I suggested a weekend getaway to the cabin by the lake, a place that's always brought us peace and allowed us to have meaningful conversations. To my relief, Emily agreed, and we packed our bags with a strange mix of hope and uncertainty. When we arrived at the lake, something about the atmosphere felt heavier than before. The air was still, the water sparkled in the sun, but the tension between us lingered. Sitting together on the old dock where we used to laugh and dream, I tried to speak, but the words caught in my throat. This place doesn't feel the same anymore, I finally said. It doesn't, she replied quietly. It's like we've forgotten how to be together. I realized it was time to be completely honest. I told her that it felt like we were moving in different directions, and if we didn't address it, things wouldn't end well. To my surprise, she agreed, admitting that the pressure from her parents had been immense, possibly more than I had ever realized. I told her that letting her parents dictate our lives was no way to find happiness. I said we had two choices. Either work together to fix this or call it quits, because living like this was only making us both miserable. When she asked what we should do, I suggested therapy, and to my relief, she agreed. That weekend was a turning point for me. Driving back home, I felt a glimmer of hope that things might finally start to change. Unfortunately, that hope didn't last. The following week, I scheduled our first therapy session, but when the day came, Emily refused to go. She told me there was nothing wrong with our marriage and insisted that I was the one who needed to change, specifically by dissolving the prenuptial agreement. I was stunned. I thought we'd reached a plan, but it seemed her parents had gotten to her once again, and we were back to the same arguments. I'm starting to lose hope. What should I do? Update 2. The pressure on me has reached a breaking point. Last Wednesday, I came home to find her parents, her sister, and Emily all waiting for me. It was some kind of intervention. As soon as I walked in, they launched into their demands. Her parents began by insisting that I should contribute to their household expenses because, in their words, it's the right thing to do. I calmly asked why they needed my help, considering they seemed to be financially stable. Their uncomfortable silence made me suspect that their finances might not be as solid as they let on. I refused, partly because I'm not their personal bank and partly because they never helped us when Emily and I were just starting out. When that argument didn't work, they shifted the conversation to the prenuptial agreement. I let them speak, listened to their tired, repetitive arguments, and calmly told them I had no intention of dissolving it. That's when things took an ugly turn. Her mother leaned forward and said something I'll never forget. Things can happen, David. Information can come out about your family. Things nobody wants the world to know. I went cold. What exactly are you trying to say? I asked. She replied with a thin smile. We just want you to understand that your choices have consequences. That was the last straw for me. In a cold, measured voice, I told them to leave the house immediately, or I'd call the police. My wife looked utterly shocked, not by their behavior but by my reaction. Her parents froze, realizing they'd gone too far, but it was too late. I'd had enough. After they left, Emily and I had the worst fight we've ever had. I reminded her that we had discussed and agreed on a plan to move forward, yet she kept taking their side. She had no new arguments, only the same tired ones I'd heard before. When I refused to back down, she called me every insult she could think of and told me to get out in the most unkind terms imaginable. I've spent 2 nights thinking about everything, and I've made my decision. This morning, I spoke to a lawyer, started the paperwork, and began the process of listing our assets. Tonight, I'm going to tell Emily that I'm leaving. This has been the hardest decision of my life, but it's one I feel I need to make. Thank you to everyone who shared your thoughts and advice. It helped me find clarity in this chaos. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. It means a lot and ensures you won't miss future updates. Take care of yourselves and live your best lives.